10 years ago, mysterious gates began opening worldwide, connecting our reality to deadly monster dungeons. To fight them, certain humans awakened superhuman abilities, becoming legendary heroes known as hunters. In this world ruled by raw magic rank, I was blessed with a very different title, the weakest hunter of all mankind. My name is Sung Jinwoo, an E-rank hunter who spends more time in hospital beds than on battlefields. My father disappeared inside a gate, my mother is in a magical coma, and my sister's college tuition depends on me. Even when higher-ranked hunters openly laughed at my bandaged face, walking away was never an option. Our raid party assembled outside a low-tier D-rank gate. Routine, simple, and supposed to be easy cash. Joohee, a B-rank healer, pleaded with me to stay safe, knowing even the weakest goblin could kill me. We ventured into the dark caverns, clutching cheap weapons, with our hearts pounding against our ribs. A stray goblin slashed my knife arm, leaving me bleeding and crawling across the stone floor. All that suffering and near-death trauma just to earn a single measly E-rank crystal worth pennies. The squad brought down the dungeon boss, and Joohee quickly sealed my wounds with healing magic. We prepared to leave, but hidden in the shadows of the boss room, someone spotted a concealed cave. It was a double dungeon, a legendary anomaly that almost never appears in low-rank gates. Blinded by greed for rare treasure, the squad put it to a vote, and by a single vote, we decided to enter. We walked deeper and deeper down an ominous torchlit corridor that felt colder with every step. At the end stood the Kartanen Temple, colossal stone statues towering into the void, holding ancient tablets. Suddenly, the massive iron doors crashed shut with thunderous force, sealing all 17 of us inside. A panicked hunter sprinted for the exit, but before he took 3 steps, the guardian statue pulverized him into crimson mist. Trapped in the dark with no escape, I looked up at the seated giant, and the god statue opened its glowing eyes and smiled. Trapped inside the Kartanen Temple, sheer panic erupts as the colossal stone guardians seal every single exit. A speed hunter desperately sprints for the heavy iron doors, but before he can touch them, he is vaporized into burning ashes. High on its dark throne, the giant god statue opens its eyes, casting blinding crimson laser beams across the chamber. Recalling the first commandment etched onto the stone tablet, Sung Jinwoo screams for every survivor to drop to their knees. As the entire raid prostrates before the altar, the lethal laser beams extinguish, and the stone monstrosity curls its lips into a terrifying smile. Without warning, the seated titan rises from its throne, shaking the dungeon with deafening, bone-crushing footsteps. Joohee breaks down in paralyzing terror, while Jinwoo places himself directly between her and the oncoming giant. Jinwoo deduces the second commandment, praise God. The only way to survive is by seeking out the statues holding musical instruments. The hunters sprint through crumbling pillars, grouping beneath the harp and trumpet statues as holy music echoes through the hall. The divine melodies arrest the titan mid-stride, freezing its colossal stone foot inches above their heads. A mysterious circular altar rises from the floor, erupting in a ring of vibrant blue and orange torches. Slowly, the grand temple doors grind open, presenting a tantalizing path to freedom. But the third commandment is a cruel test. Prove your faith. Escaping will instantly trigger the dungeon's death penalty. Armed stone sentinels advance step by step toward the altar, closing the perimeter around the hunters. Overwhelmed by selfish terror, several hunters sprint out the door, causing the flames to extinguish and the doors to slide shut. A guardian's massive blade slashes Jinwoo, severing his leg and leaving him collapsed in a spreading pool of blood. Unable to stand, Jinwoo hands his money to Joohee and demands Mr. Song carry her out, voluntarily sacrificing himself on the altar. Left entirely alone, Jinwoo watches the exit seal forever as towering statues raise their executioner blades above him. Consumed by fury at the world's cruelty, Jinwoo screams with his dying breath, "If only I had one more chance." As the heavy stone sword falls, time freezes in midair, and a glowing blue system window appears. You have qualified to become a player. Jinwoo violently jolts awake in a clean hospital bed, gasping for air as the phantom agony of the Kartanen Temple execution fades. He throws off his hospital blanket in total disbelief, finding his severed leg and mutilated limbs completely restored, without a single scar. Chief Inspector Woo Jin-chul and Hunter Association agents arrive, demanding to know how an E-rank survived the brutal double dungeon slaughter. Suspecting he might have experienced a rare second awakening, the inspectors place a glowing magical measuring device into his hands. The orb registers a mere 10 points of magical energy, confirming to the association that he is still the weakest hunter alive. But the moment they leave, Jinwoo stares in shock at glowing holographic system windows hovering invisibly in the air. His sister Jinna rushes in with fruit, completely blind to the floating blue notifications commanding him to accept the player's quest. Opening the system interface, he is assigned a mandatory daily training quest: 100 push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and a 10-kilometer run. Dismissing the screen as a bizarre hallucination, Jinwoo ignores the warning timer as the clock slowly strikes midnight. Suddenly, reality rips open, violently teleporting his hospital room into a scorching crimson desert penalty zone. Colossal subterranean centipedes erupt from the shifting sand dunes, chasing him relentlessly across the wasteland for 4 brutal hours. Barely surviving the ordeal, with burning lungs and bleeding feet, Jinwoo realizes the system's commands are absolute life or death rule. He commits entirely to the daily regimen, watching his physical frame transform each day with sculpted muscle and athletic power. Every completed daily quest grants stat points, instant fatigue recovery, and mysterious random loot boxes. Opening a golden reward box, Jinwoo receives an E-rank dungeon key, leading directly to the abandoned Hapjeong subway station. Visiting his comatose mother in the hospital ward, he vows to conquer whatever trials lie ahead to cure her eternal sleep. Descending into the darkened subway tunnel, Jinwoo inserts the key and steps bravely through a shimmering dimensional barrier. The subway entrance seals shut behind him, trapping him inside an instant dungeon where escape is impossible until the boss is slain. A vicious goblin lunges from the dark, but Jinwoo reacts with supernatural reflexes, dodging effortlessly and driving his blade home. Suddenly, a crimson-eyed steel-fanged lichen shatters the walls, snapping his knife and forcing Jinwoo to awaken his true primal power. Trapped deep inside the subway instant dungeon, Jinwoo faces down the snarling steel-fanged lichen with his broken dagger. Leaping into the air, Jinwoo drives his bare hands into the beast's armored jaws, snapping its neck with raw superhuman strength. A golden notification chime rings out as the system announces his very first level up, from level 1 to level 2. 2 more razor-fanged wolves burst through the tunnel shadows, eager to tear the wounded hunter to shreds. Opening his inventory, Jinwoo retrieves the steel sword left behind by Hunter Kim Sang-shik, gripping the cold steel with lethal resolve. In a blur of crimson stripes, he slaughters both beasts, watching a cascade of combat experience flood his interface. After eliminating countless wolves in the dark corridor, the system bestows upon him a rare combat title, Wolf Slayer. The Wolf Slayer title instantly boosts all his combat stats by 40%, whenever engaging beast-type monsters. Venturing deeper beneath the city, the concrete subway platforms give way to a flooded, eerie subterranean swamp. Massive amphibious shadow monsters emerge from the murky waters, surrounding Jinwoo in the dark underground cavern. Using his heightened agility and enhanced reflexes, he carves through the swamp creatures, steadily leveling up his combat powers. Suddenly, the cavern floor rumbles as a colossal shadow rises from the depths, dwarfing everything in sight. It is the dungeon boss, king of the swamp, the venomous blue Venom-Fanged Kasaka, hissing with lethal intent. Jinwoo charges with his sword, but the steel blade shatters into useless fragments against the serpent's impenetrable scales. Cornered and disarmed, Jinwoo remembers his mother and sister, refusing to let his life end in another forgotten dungeon. He lunges forward recklessly, locking his bare hands around the serpent's throat and channeling all 30+ strength points. With a sickening crunch, Jinwoo crushes Kasaka's skull into the cavern walls, claiming victory over the fearsome swamp monarch. From the boss remains, he loots a potent C-rank dagger, Kasaka's poison fang, and a mysterious vial of purified venom. Emerging back into the rain-soaked soul streets, Jinwoo discovers an active dungeon break, where hunters and Joohee are pinned down by a massive golem. Hurling his broken sword with devastating hypersonic force, Jinwoo shatters the golem's core in one hit, vanishing quietly into the night as a true superhuman. Fully recovered from his grueling subway trial, Jinwoo returns to the hospital with a noticeably taller and more muscular physique. Completing his daily quest routine with effortless ease, he realizes his physical strength has already far surpassed normal human limits. Meanwhile, top guild masters across Korea begin noticing unusual dungeon anomalies and strange shifts in magical power. Needing real combat experience and dungeon funds, Jinwoo visits the Hunter Association to search for open raid teams. He encounters a strike squad led by C-rank hunter Hwang Dong-suk, who is urgently recruiting 2 extra hunters to meet raid quotas. Joining the team alongside wealthy rookie Yu Jinyo, Jinwoo agrees to enter a dangerous C-rank dungeon as basic luggage carriers. Jinyo arrives clad in ultra-expensive magical armor, completely terrified yet determined to earn his official hunter credentials. Together with the 8 veteran hunters, they cross through the shimmering blue portal into the subterranean cavern. As they advance through the dark tunnels, aggressive insect monsters swarm from the shadows to ambush the squad. Hwang Dong-suk and his frontliners strike down the beasts, while Jinwoo quietly observes their attack patterns and formation. Jinwoo quickly notices something suspicious. The squad lacks a dedicated healer, yet the veterans show zero concern for safety. Carving through the remaining bug swarms, the raid party arrives at the entrance of a massive boss chamber. Thick white spider silk coats the cavern walls, warning them of a deadly predator nesting deep within the cave. Inside the colossal chamber, they discover massive veins of glowing blue mana crystals worth millions of dollars. Resting in the center of the treasure room lies the dungeon boss, a towering, venomous giant arachnid. Blinding greed overtakes Dong-suk's crew, who decide to monopolize the entire fortune for themselves. Claiming they need mining gear, Dong-suk and his hunters exit the chamber, leaving Jinwoo and Jinyo trapped inside. The treacherous squad triggers an explosion, burying the exit tunnel under tons of solid rock to seal their fate. The cavern trembles violently as the giant arachnid awakens, fixing its glowing red eyes on the abandoned hunters. While Jinyo trembles in despair, Jinwoo steps forward with glowing blue eyes, ready to unleash his true power. Trapped in the dark boss cavern after Dong-suk's betrayal, Jinwoo faces the terrifying giant arachnid alone. Jinho cowers behind his heavy shield, paralyzed in fear as the colossal spider unleashes a deafening roar. Rather than running, Jinwoo remains calm, analyzing the monster's predatory movements with sharpened instincts. The massive arachnid strikes with blinding speed, launching streams of lethal corrosive acid across the rocky ground. Activating his sprint skill, Jinwoo dodges every deadly lunge, moving faster than human eyes can track. Drawing Kasaka's Poison Fang, Jinwoo tests his blade against the creature's thick armored shell. Remembering his past helplessness and countless near deaths, Jinwoo refuses to ever be weak again. Channeling all his strength, he leaps into the air and drives his glowing dagger deep into the spider's weak point. With a final agonizing shriek, the C-rank dungeon boss collapses, showering the cavern in blue mana light. Jinwoo levels up rapidly, claiming rare boss loot, while Jinho stares in absolute disbelief at the lone hunter. Suddenly, the blocked tunnel explodes open as Hwang Dong-suk and his greedy strike squad return. Expecting to find mangled corpses, Dong-suk is stunned to discover the boss slaughtered, and both recruits alive. Greedy for the vast treasure of mana crystals, Dong-suk orders Jinho to execute Jinwoo and prove his silence. Jinho refuses to betray his savior, raising his golden shield to stand shoulder to shoulder with Jinwoo. Enraged by defiance, Dong-suk commands his seasoned hunters to butcher them both and bury the evidence. Suddenly, a crimson emergency quest window flashes before Jinwoo. Eliminate all 8 enemies to survive. Embracing the system's ruthless law, Jinwoo vanishes into a blur, cutting down the treacherous hunters with lethal precision. Terror grips Dong-suk as his entire team falls in seconds, leaving him alone before the unstoppable Shadow. Ignoring Dong-suk's desperate pleas for mercy, Jinwoo delivers the final strike, ending the traitor once and for all. Emerging from the dungeon as the sole survivors, Jinwoo's dark legend begins, while dangerous eyes watch from overseas. Following the deadly C-rank dungeon incident, Chief Inspector Woo Jin-chul is stunned by the report. Hwang Dong-suk's entire squad was wiped out, with only Sung Jinwoo and Yoo Jin-ho surviving. Returning home with fried chicken for his sister Jin-ah, Jinwoo is relieved to finally secure enough funds to pay for his mother's hospital care. Reflecting on the dungeon battle, Jinwoo realizes he felt zero hesitation when executing the traitorous hunters, resolute in his conviction to survive. While drinking alcohol, he discovers he cannot get drunk, noticing the system's unique longevity blessing that purges all bodily toxins and accelerates regeneration. Yoo Jin-ho urgently requests a private meeting, vowing in profound gratitude for his life, and desperate to recruit Jinwoo for a high-stakes proposal. Jin-ho reveals his plan to obtain a guildmaster license for his father's corporation, which requires 20 official dungeon raid clears to qualify. Offering Jinwoo a prime real estate headquarters worth 30 billion won, Jin-ho begs to clear 19 C-rank dungeons together while swearing absolute secrecy. Over in America, S-rank powerhouse Hwang Dong-soo learns of his brother's demise, vowing brutal vengeance against both survivors once his schedule clears. Back in Korea, Jinwoo pushes his daily training routine past its limits, discovering the system continues tracking his exercise beyond the daily goal. By doubling his workout regimen, Jinwoo unlocks a hidden secret quest, earning 10 ability points and the blessed random loot box. Opening the box grants him an S-rank artifact, the key to the Demon Castle, alongside the mythical recipe for the Elixir of Life. Knowing the elixir can cure any illness, including his mother's comatose sleep, Jinwoo resolves to conquer the perilous realm, no matter the risk. Traveling to a blazing skyscraper gate in downtown Seoul, Jinwoo unlocks the towering portal and steps into the demon castle. Standing before the castle courtyard, he is immediately confronted by the gatekeeper of hell, the terrifying three-headed beast, Cerberus. Drawing Kasaka's poison fang, Jinwoo lunges forward with lightning strikes, but his attacks barely scratch the beast's armored hide. Enraged, Cerberus enters its terrifying rage state, doubling all combat attributes and overwhelming Jinwoo in a storm of ferocious hellfire. Taking catastrophic damage and losing half his health, Jinwoo triggers his daily quest full recovery to instantly restore his battered body. Drinking the venom of Kasaka, his longevity blessing negates the debuff while granting 20% physical defense to survive the inferno. Exploiting the end of the monster's rage, Jinwoo pummels Cerberus with relentless, savage blows until the Hellhound collapses in blood. Claiming the Demon Castle key and the elixir recipe, Jinwoo teleports out, knowing he must grow exponentially stronger to conquer what lies ahead. Holding the recipe for the elixir of life, Jinwoo realizes he must conquer the Demon Castle to save his mother from eternal sleep disease. Knowing he is not yet strong enough, Jinwoo accepts Yu Jinho's proposal to clear 19 C-rank dungeons together. Jinwoo sets one strict condition. Only the two of them will fight, hiring ghost fillers to meet the mandatory 8-member raid quota. By clearing every dungeon with 0 injuries, Jinho can prove his leadership to his billionaire father with no casualties. Meanwhile, Yujin Construction aggressively scouts top-tier hunters to establish a rival guild against the top 5. While the Hunter Association oversees public gates, private guilds hold a massive monopoly over dungeon profits. Back at home, Jinwoo realizes extra workouts no longer yield bonus stat points, demanding live dungeon combat to grow stronger. An emergency summons arrives from the association, requesting low-ranked hunters for a sudden D-rank dungeon raid. In a quiet dojo, Swordmaster Song Chi-yul continues his martial training, despite losing his arm in the double dungeon. Elsewhere, a low-ranked family hunter receives his call-up, reassuring his young daughter that daddy will return safely. At the White Tiger Guild, S-rank leaders Choi Jong-in and Baek Yoon-ho meet to discuss long-term raid strategies. Choi Jong-in reveals plans to reclaim Jeju Island from the mutant ants that wiped out Korea's greatest S-rank hunters. Baek Yoon-ho remembers his fallen comrades, haunted by the brutal loss of Hunter Yoon-suk and Min Byung-gu. S-rank Cha Hae-in meets Choi Jong-in, officially declining the lucrative corporate recruitment offer from Yujin Construction. Jinwoo arrives at the D-rank gate, surprising Mr. Song with his towering height and athletic physique. To Jinwoo's shock, he is reunited with B-rank healer Joohee and the other survivors of the Cartman Temple massacre. Tensions rise as the association delivers 3 dangerous convict hunters in handcuffs to fill out the raid team. Overseeing the criminals is B-rank Inspector Kang Taeshik of the surveillance team, projecting a ruthless aura. Mr. Song bows deeply in front of all survivors, formally thanking Jinwoo for sacrificing his life to save them. Taking the lead, Mr. Song guides the uneasy party forward as Jinwoo steps into the depths of the perilous D-rank gate. Inside the D-rank dungeon, Jinwoo fights alongside the raid party, easily cutting down goblins with his newfound strength and dagger, while Joohee marvels at his dramatic transformation. As the cavern splits into 3 separate paths, Kang Taeshik leads the convicted hunters down the right corridor, while Jinwoo, Song Chi-yul, and Joohee take the left tunnel. In the middle path, Kim Sang-shik and Kang Jong-ho reflect on abandoning Jinwoo during the double dungeon tragedy, resolved to offer him a sincere apology once the raid is finished. A dark flashback reveals a grieving father paying Kang Taesh 3 billion won to execute the 3 convict hunters who drove his daughter to suicide. Within the dark corridor, Kang Taeshik ruthlessly massacres the three convicts before turning his blades toward Kim Sang-shik and Kang Jeong-ho to eliminate all witnesses. Jinwoo and his group rush toward the sound of screams, discovering the butchered prisoners and finding Kim Sang-shik mortally wounded on the blood-stained floor. With his dying breath, Kim Sang-shik weeps and begs Jinwoo for forgiveness for leaving him behind, passing away before Joohee's healing magic can save him. Kang Taeshik emerges from the shadows, mocking their grief and declaring that he will fabricate a cover story, claiming the prisoners rebelled and slaughtered everyone. Refusing to let the killer strike down Joohee, Swordmaster Song Chi-yul draws Kim's blade, determined to hold the line with one arm against the B-rank assassin. Empowered by Joohee's physical buff, Master Song displays flawless blade technique, countering Taeshik's ruthless flurry before the assassin's overwhelming speed pierces his defense. Just as Kang Taeshik moves to deliver the fatal blow to Mr. Song, Jinwoo intercepts at blinding speed, halting the assassin's dagger with his bare hands. Taeshik is stunned by Jinwoo's raw power and agility, realizing the supposed E-rank has experienced a secret second awakening. The assassin reveals his sickening true nature, confessing that he joined the Hunter Association solely for the thrill of hunting and murdering human beings. Instantly, the system sounds a red emergency alert, issuing an urgent survival quest ordering Jinwoo to eliminate the bloodthirsty enemy. Jinwoo unleashes his full speed and draws Kasaka's poison fan, trading lightning-fast dagger strikes that push the seasoned B-rank assassin onto the defensive. Desperate to regain the upper hand, Kang Taeshik activates the rare S-tier skill Stealth, erasing his sight, sound, and presence to launch an invisible ambush. Taeshik slashes Jinwoo from behind to cripple his movement, but Jinwoo instantly activates his daily quest reward, achieving full recovery in a flash of light. Tracking the assassin's pure bloodlust through the dark, Jinwoo predicts Taeshik's final strike, dodging the invisible blade and driving his dagger straight through Taeshik's chest. Dying on the cavern floor, Taeshik leaves Jinwoo with a chilling warning. As you gaze into the darkness of power, the abyss gazes back into you. Outside the gate, Master Song covers for Jinwoo by taking credit for the kill before Chief Inspector Woo Jinchul, while Joohee bids Jinwoo an emotional farewell as she retires from the hunt. Following the dungeon bloodbath, Joohee reminisces about how she first met Jinwoo, healing his reckless injuries time and time again. Torn by trauma, Joohee announces her retirement to her peaceful hometown, gifting Jinwoo her protective mana crystal before a tearful farewell. Chief Inspector Woo Jinchul issues a chilling warning. S-rank monster Hwang Dong-soo is hunting down everyone connected to his brother's demise. Knowing he must grow exponentially stronger before an S-rank arrives, Jinwoo joins Yu Jinyo to begin their 19 C-rank dungeon marathon. Jinyo recruits a team of ghost fillers, injured hunters and high school students who get paid fortunes just to wait outside in the van. Geared in shiny high-tier armor, Jinyo follows Jinwoo into the swirling red portal as an exclusive two-man assault team. Inside the gloomy caverns, grotesque goblin swarms charge, but Jinwoo vanishes into a flash of steel, severing heads with ruthless efficiency. Yu Jinyo watches in stunned reverence as Jinwoo dances through armies of beasts, annihilating monsters far beyond human limits. Clearing dungeons in mere minutes, Jinwoo collects massive mana crystals, while his attributes and combat powers skyrocket. Across the metropolis, alarm bells ring at White Tiger Guild headquarters, as a mysterious squad buys up every C-rank gate at double price. Chief Scout An Songmin digs into association records, discovering E-rank Sung Jinwoo was the sole survivor of multiple catastrophic raids. Songmin deduces the astonishing truth. Sung Jinwoo is an ultra-rare false ranker who has undergone a secret second awakening. Desperate to recruit this hidden powerhouse before rival mega guilds catch wind, Songmin ambushes Jinwoo at an outdoor cafe. Laying his cards on the table, Songmin offers Jinwoo an enormous signing bonus and a state-of-the-art skyscraper worth billions of won. Unfazed by the massive bribe, Jinwoo calmly reveals Yujin Construction already offered him a staggering 30 billion won. Jinwoo turns the interrogation around, exposing that he knew White Tiger was spying on him and offering to sell 3 remaining dungeon permits. Cornered and eager to please, Songmin instantly wires 600 million won, only to realize Jinwoo completely outplayed him. Sending a swift text to Songmin declaring they are now even, Jinwoo cements his reputation as a razor-sharp operator. Reflecting on his rapidly expanding physique and lethal strength, Jinwoo readies his mind for the trials awaiting inside the demon castle. Suddenly, a glowing system prompt flashes before his eyes. The job change quest has arrived, paving the way for the Monarch of Shadows. Stepping into a secluded clearing far from civilization, Sung Jinwoo activates his job change quest, opening a dark, swirling dimensional portal. Crossing the threshold into the ancient cavern, a severe system notification appears. Potions, healing items, and the store are completely locked. Suddenly, towering armored knights emerge from the gloom, swinging colossal broadswords to crush the lone intruder. Darting through the shadows with blinding speed, Jinwoo uses Vital Strike and Kasaka's Poison Fang to shatter their heavy steel plating. Deeper inside the dungeon, elite mage monsters cast devastating spells, while cloaked assassins strike from his blind spots. Conserving his precious mana, Jinwoo relies on raw physical strength and martial instincts, snapping weapons and dismembering enemies with bare hands. After clearing relentless waves of guardians, Jinwoo reaches a massive Gothic chamber containing a magnificent royal throne. Seated upon the throne, a colossal warrior clad in crimson armor awakens. Knight Commander Igris the Bloodred. Igris draws his massive longsword, unleashing a terrifying aura of bloodlust that shakes the entire throne room to its foundation. The clash begins at supersonic velocity, with Igris swinging his massive blade with impossible agility, deflecting every single dagger thrust. Seeing Jinwoo's daggers unable to pierce his armor, Igris willingly plunges his greatsword into the ground to battle in fair hand-to-hand combat. A savage brawl erupts as Igris delivers devastating blows, hurling Jinwoo through solid stone pillars and fracturing his ribs. Grievously battered and coughing blood, Jinwoo is pinned to the stone floor beneath Igris's overwhelming crushing power. Remembering his hospitalized mother and his promise to cure her eternal sleep, a fierce burning willpower reignites within Jinwoo's soul. Exploiting the narrow slit in Igris's helm, Jinwoo drives Kasaka's Poison Fang directly through the commander's eye socket with all his might. The paralyzing poison takes effect, and the mighty Knight Commander collapses into a heap of crimson steel at Jinwoo's feet. The system awards incredible loot: the commander's great sword, the telekinetic runestone ruler's hand, and over 1 million gold. Before Jinwoo can catch his breath, a sinister gate opens as endless legions of Shadow Knights pour into the chamber. The true trial begins. Jinwoo must survive against infinite waves of enemies to determine his final Hunter class ranking. Exhausted and swarmed from all sides, Jinwoo fights desperately for his life as the countdown to his ultimate destiny ticks down. Swarmed by relentless legions of armored guardians, Sung Jinwoo loses his instant teleportation stone in the chaos. With his stamina completely depleted and steel spears impaling him from every side, Jinwoo is beaten to the brink of death. Just as the fatal blow descends, midnight strikes. Failing his daily quest triggers an emergency transfer to the lethal desert penalty zone. Monstrous poison centipedes erupt from the sand dunes, forcing Jinwoo to run for 4 agonizing hours across the scorching desert. Surviving the grueling trial, the system grants full HP and MP restoration, completely healing Jinwoo's fractured bones and exhaustion. Meanwhile, an elite helicopter carrying S-rank hunters Choi Jong-in and Cha Hae-in scouts the mutant monster outbreak on Jeju Island. Returning to the job change dungeon with renewed fury, Jinwoo unleashes Ruler's hand, telekinetically slamming knights into the stone ceiling. Darting forward like lightning, Jinwoo massacres the remaining mages and armored guards, crushing the final wave in mere seconds. The job change quest concludes as the system tallies his exceptional combat achievements, kill count, and survival duration. Based on his extraordinary performance, the system assigns him the dark path of the Necromancer, a master of souls. Because he vastly exceeded every requirement, the class evolves into the one and only Hidden Monarch class, the Monarch of Shadows. Unlocking the forbidden skill, Shadow Extraction, Jinwoo prepares to raise the souls of fallen warriors to serve in his personal army. Stepping before the sea of slain knights, Jinwoo utters the fateful command, "Arise." From the pitch-black shadows, armored specters cloaked in dark blue energy claw their way into reality, assembling before their master. Turning toward the throne room dais, Jinwoo approaches the mighty corpse of Knight Commander Igris the Bloodred. Two extraction attempts fail against Igris's proud warrior spirit, leaving Jinwoo with one final chance before the soul permanently dissipates. Jinwoo speaks straight to the commander's soul, asking for his strength to protect what matters and shouting the command one last time. Arise. Black-purple lightning explodes as Shadow Commander Igris rises in magnificent dark armor, falling to one knee to pledge eternal loyalty. Looking upon his loyal legion of Shadow Knights, a confident smile spreads across Jinwoo's face. He is no longer the weakest hunter. As mutant ant beasts evolve to threaten mankind, Sung Jinwoo stands at the dawn of a new era as the supreme monarch of Shadow.